Hey friends, it's Marie here, and I get to share with you the Spellbinders Glimmer kit for October. Now, I love this kit. I love everything fall and pumpkins and leaves, so this kit is fun to play with. You get some of these gorgeous glimmer plates, but you also get some of the coordinating dies, so you can go ahead and glimmer these and then cut them out. You get some leaves here, you get a pumpkin, and then you have that beautiful pumpkin that has the leaves attached to it. Also with your glimmer kit, every month you get a roll of foil, and this month I got some copper, and it's just so gorgeous. I love this copper. It's a great color for fall. It's just that warm fall color that you want to use on all your cards. I'm going to go ahead and layer all of my glimmer plates onto my glimmer platform. I'm using some Bristol smooth cardstock, and I want my Bristol because I'm going to be coloring these glimmer pieces with my Zig clean color real brush markers. That's kind of a mouthful, but I'm going to be using that on my glimmered images, and Bristol is the best paper to use with those zigs, so that's why I'm using this one. I've also noticed that Bristol glimmers really nicely, and I think it's because it's a really nice smooth cardstock. It's a great weight as well, so I find I'm getting some really great results on the Bristol Smooth. So go ahead and try it if maybe some other cardstocks aren't glimmering well for you. But I'm just going to layer everything on here and then let my platform heat up. So it's heated up here. I'm going to pop it out, and then I'm just going to take it over to my machine, run it through, and then I like to pop my platform in again, let it keep heating up as I'm working. So here is that foil all pressed into the paper. I think it just looks fantastic, and the fun part is peeling it off and seeing those gorgeous images behind. Now these plates have some really fine little lines. I love the sketchy look of these images. It's just really pretty. So I want to go ahead and glimmer lots of these images, and I want to save as much paper as I can. I am keeping in mind that I want to use the coordinating dies with these, so I'm leaving space between each image to be able to go through and cut them out. But I am kind of trying to get them as close as possible. So I'm going to rearrange my dies and keep glimmering using a little bit of washi tape to put them into place where I want them to go, layering that foil underneath my plates, and then I'm just going to heat it up. Now, the easiest way for me to remember which side I need up of the foil is I like to remember it as the back side of the foil is the sticky side. So that's the side that's going to stick on whatever it's touching. So don't put the sticky side on your plates, or you might glimmer your plates, because I have done that. It does not hurt your plates at all. You can still glimmer with them, but you'll just have really shiny plates. So keep that in mind. I'm going to go ahead and glimmer these, ran it through my die cutting machine, and I'm peeling off that foil, and I'm just going to fill up this whole page with all of these images. I think it's so pretty. I'm going to go ahead and glimmer these and cut them out. So I use my coordinating dies to cut out these images, and like I mentioned in the beginning, I'm using my zigs to go ahead and color these. Love the zigs on Bristol Smooth. I don't know what the magic is. I've tried my zigs on watercolor paper and just never got the results that I wanted, but Bristol is just perfect for me personally, and it just works great with these zigs, so I cannot recommend it enough if you're using these markers. It's just so smooth. It's a great weight that it can stand up to a little bit of moisture. I don't recommend putting a ton of water on your paper. Just a little bit gets that color moving. I don't like to overwhelm it with water. So you can see here I'm putting down a little layer of my color. I'm not even coloring the whole image in. I just want to put a little bit of color where it's going to be the darkest on this image. And then once I have my pigment on, I'm going to come in with a water brush and just start to spread out that color. You can kind of think of this as watercolor, because it is a watercolor brush, so it acts similar to watercolor. It's going to be a little bit different than if you're taking liquid watercolor or watercolor out of a palette. I think it's a little bit easier because you can put the marker where you want it to go and then just spread out that color. But it's a personal preference on what kind of mediums you like to use. I do love that you can use these gentle mediums over your foiled images, and the foil kind of acts as a resist. So you're still going to get that shine through here, and it's just going to look great. Now, I like to work with my images in multiples. You can see here I have 3 pumpkins, and that way when I add some water on top of this color, I can kind of rotate through the pumpkins, and then once I get back to the first one, it's had a little bit of time to dry, so I can go ahead and layer on my next color. If you don't use a lot of water, you can go ahead and do that. It dries pretty quickly, and you can get some great results with layering. It's ideal to let your color dry all the way so that you can layer another color on too. You can go ahead and drop some color in while it's wet, but it's going to kind of spread a little bit and maybe a little bit harder to control that way. So that's why I like to work with these multiple images. I'll just color all 3 of them, spread them all out. I'll go back to the first one. It's had a little bit of time to dry, and I can drop in a little bit more color. So I've put some lighter yellow on these pumpkins. I've come in with some orange, and now I'm just doing a tiny bit of brown on the bottom of the pumpkins and along the stem. And I actually realized later as I was building my card that I totally forgot to color the stem in, but that was super easy to fix. I just took a green marker and colored it in later. But you can see you don't need a whole lot of color when you're putting these zigs down. They spread really easily. So another tip to keep in mind is put down a little bit of color, spread it out. If you want more color, you can always add more. It's easier to add more. It's not quite as easy to take it away. So just add it little by little, and you'll find that it does take a little bit of patience to get it to where you want it to look, but it's really fun and relaxing too, just to add a little bit of watercolor look to your images. So I'm going to go ahead and color the rest of my images here. I've got my pumpkins done, and you can see how gorgeous that copper is, that foil on top of these images. It's a little bit hard to pick up on photos and cameras. I've tried to do that for you so you can see some of that shine. I just love it. It's so pretty. I've gone ahead and I've colored all the rest of my images. I'm going to start building my card base now. I want to layer all of these images on top of my card base, and I'm going to make a really simple background. So I've grabbed a light yellow color and I've cut strips of paper in fall colors. I've got sort of a rusty red here, a really dark brown, and some glitter cardstock in sort of a warm gold tone. And I'm just going to layer these onto my background, and I'm just going to make sort of angled lines around the edges to kind of make a frame. This is a really simple way to kind of dress up your background without having to do too much. You can just cut little strips of paper and arrange them. So I'm just going to kind of play with my strips of paper here, figure out where I want to glue them down, and I'm kind of going to go ahead and frame the corners and then frame it in. You'll see. It's really easy to do. All I'm doing is putting some angles down here, and then I'll glue them on with a little bit of liquid glue. I'm using some Nuvo Liquid Deluxe Glue. I find that this glue works great for small pieces and large pieces. It's a great all-around glue. It holds great, gives you a little bit of wiggle time before it completely dries. And I am just layering on my strips here. And then once I have them where I want them, flipping over my card and just trimming them off from the back. Now I'm going to go ahead and do these on all 4 corners, getting these angled little strips on there. I'm going to show you how I'm doing my corners. I want them to line up, so I'm actually just taking a ruler and kind of marking out how high I want these strips to go to kind of get it a little bit even. I've noticed when I'm doing these strips and these angles, if you get it crooked, you can really tell. It doesn't have to be perfect, but if you get it close enough, it looks a lot better than if you do a bunch of angled crooked strips all over your background. So I find it easy to kind of use a ruler to help me space things out, and also use that grid mat that you're working on. Sometimes I forget to use that, but it's right there, it's handy. I should probably use it more than I do. So I'm going to go ahead and just glue down these strips. I'm going to do the same thing on the other two corners, so all four corners are going to be the same. And this doesn't use a whole lot of paper. All of these strips I was able to reuse and really only needed 1 or 2 strips for the whole background. Now you could go crazy and cut tons of strips and do a really awesome plaid background. I did think about that, but honestly, with 2 little kids that need me all the time, I'm thought, I don't know, that might be a little time consuming. But I think that would look amazing as well. So with that dark brown strip, I'm going to go ahead and add that just along each of the 4 sides and kind of make a frame to kind of pull this whole design together. And I really do love this, but at the same time when I look at it, I kind of think, you know, one of those Thanksgiving napkins from your grandma's house. You guys let me know if that's what it makes you think of, if it's a little bit old-fashioned or if you completely love it. I'm a little on the fence. I love this background, but it does kind of remind me of my grandma. Not that that's a bad thing. Love my grandma. But, you know, I think it just reminds me of a Thanksgiving napkin. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and just glue down all of these glimmered die cuts. I think they're just so gorgeous. There's a million different ways that you can arrange these on your card. I chose to kind of group them here on the left side of my card, just filling in spaces with these little leaves here. And then I did pop that pumpkin up. Popped the pumpkin with some foam adhesive. How's that for alliteration? Anyway, this is about the time that I realized I did not color the stem on my pumpkin. It was looking very naked right now. So all I did was grab a green zig marker, colored that in. I don't know if I left that in this footage or not, showed you that I colored it, but really simple, easy fixed. I just went ahead and colored it in. Like I said, I popped it up on foam adhesive. I'm just pulling off the backer here, and then I'm going to adhere it down. Now when I'm making a grouping of die cuts like this, I like to lay it all out first and then carefully take the ones from the back, put some adhesive on them, and then slip them back in so I don't have to move around the grouping a whole lot. I know some people like to make the whole grouping, take a picture, and then work from that picture to glue them all down again. And so there's different ways you can do this, but I prefer to kind of arrange everything and then kind of just glue them down where they need to go, carefully keeping everything in place. So now I'm going to go ahead and glue down that sentiment. I love that there's a sentiment in this kit as well. It just kind of makes it easy to make a complete card with all of the pieces, gluing that down right there off to the side, and that's pretty much the card. I think I did go ahead and added a few champagne shine sequins from Nuvo. I love adding more shine and more glitter, and I'm loving all that copper foiling. I think that's one of my favorite colors, right next to gold foil. So like I mentioned, I'm adding some sequins here. I'm just kind of trying to slip them in so they're not too obvious, but they leave a little bit more shine. I like to use my tool-in-one to kind of move these sequins around if they get stuck or if I'm trying to get them in a specific spot. The tool-in-one is great for moving around these little pieces when my fingers are a little bit too big and I can't get there. So I'm just gluing them down with some more of that liquid adhesive, and that's going to finish the card. So I thought this was really fun. I love glimmering and the watercolor with the zigs. I just mounted it on a white cardstock base and I called it a day. So thanks so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed a look at the Spellbinders Glimmer kit for October. I'll have a link down below to a blog post that you can go to see more photos. Otherwise, if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up or comment, subscribe, like, share, just do all the things, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.